For the past 3 years, Alton Towers have had temporary rides located throughout the park. However, the retro squad have now officially left, and that means Alton Towers need to move forward with installing some permanent new flat rides. In this video, I'm going to be talking all about 4 new permanent flats that I will bring to the park in the future. I'll be talking about the manufacturer I'll go to, and also the different ride types and themes that I would go for, along with the themed areas that I would put them in at Alton Towers, which will be most beneficial to having these flat rides. Now, of course, how have we got to this situation that Alton Towers is in now, where there's a severe lack of flat rides? Of course, it stems back over the past kind of 10 years and various different removals that haven't been replaced. We saw it with Submission down in X Sector, Twirling Toadstool in Cloud Cuckoo Land, Ripsaw in Forbidden Valley, and most recently Enterprise down in X Sector. These are just some of the rides that have left and haven't been replaced over the years. And then, of course, the pandemic came along and there was restrictions on indoor attractions and indoor spaces. Capacity really became more important than ever in the theme park industry, but especially at Alton Towers, that really needed to make sure they had enough attractions available to open, especially with them having quite a few indoor attractions that could possibly stay closed. So the decision was made for 2021 to actually bring in some temporary rides to just kind of help the lineup, help with capacity, and also have them just in case they had to close indoor spaces again. Those were the retro squad, and they ended up staying all the way through until when Alton Towers closed just a couple of weeks ago at the end of the 2023 season. So 3 years Alton Towers had to hire in these rides. They actually went to the Mellors group that owned Fantasy Island, along with lots of other travelling rides around the country and across the world. And Mellors then, of course, brought in these rides to Alton Towers and would actually operate them on behalf of the park. Now, them rides have left, and of course it's left a bit of a void, a bit of a space that needs to be filled in the park, because of course we need some permanent flat rides. It's clear that Alton Towers have got some plans behind the scenes. Nothing's concrete yet. However, we do know that behind the scenes there is work going on to actually think about what needs to come in, what flat rides should Alton Towers install. So it's good to hear that's happening. However, I thought for a bit of fun, bit of blue sky, I'd share what I would do if I was in the Alton Towers situation that they are now. And yeah, just to overall enhance the park and the experience. I think that's the thing in the past, especially with Merlin owning the park. They seem to think that by putting in a big standout ride, that is the only way to bring in new guests, bring in new custom. However, as we know from how many other theme park companies operate around the world, that isn't always the case. Yes, putting in a big ride like the Smiler or Wicker Man is always going to bring in more people than a smaller ride. However, them smaller attractions are a big part of the theme park experience and help spread guests out and create an overall better atmosphere and enjoyable time for guests. And of course, we started to see Merlin invest a little bit more in flats over the past few years. Legoland Windsor, of course, Chessington, they've put some new flat rides in their new world of Jumanji. We had Croc Drop open. So yes, they have started to get more into the flats. However, Alton Towers has just been left behind, and a big reason is because they had these temporary rides in place that were just kind of, it's all right, that'll do. They were filling the gap instead of actually thinking out the box that these need to be permanently replaced. We're at a theme park. I love funfair rides. I enjoy them so much. You'll see that on the channel. But when we're in a themed environment, in a theme park, they just don't belong there. They don't fit. They should be on the travelling circuit, entertaining people there. And the park should have some permanent additions. So, of course, we know that's going on behind the scenes. Let's just have a bit of fun and talk about 4 flat rides that I would bring to Alton Towers. Now, the first one will be located in Forbidden Valley, and I will bring in a Huss top spin. However, a suspended version. So, of course, Ripsaw was a beloved attraction by many, myself included. I'll always remember my last ride on there, and it was emotional because it was a great ride for that park. However, it did come to the end of its life. It had been running since 1997. Yes, it did need to go. However, it wasn't replaced, and it still hasn't been to this day. Hence why, since that ride closed, we've still got this massive gap in the park for the past 8 years. But yeah, I will bring in a suspended Huss top spin, similar to Talican at Phantasialand. Now, 38 riders can sit back to back on a flawless suspended gondola. It can do multiple ride pattern combinations, and also the footprint for this as well. We know it would fit there. About 20 22 by 9 meters. So yeah, it'd be the perfect fit to go in that location. Slightly bigger footprint than the old Ripsaw that used to be there. That was one of the earlier generation models where, of course, you had the 2 rows all facing forwards. With these new models, then yeah, you'd be back to back. They still sell the old model from on the website, but yeah, I would go for the up-to-date suspending model. I think that would fit brilliantly around there. I'd also bring in a new theme to kind of fit with the phalanx and that overall change. We'll probably get more of an idea on how Forbidden Valley is going to be, of course, when we go in next year and see the changes with Nemesis and the rest of the area that's coming. But yeah, I would definitely bring in another Huss topspin, like Ripsaw 2. Like, it would be great, wouldn't it, just to have a new topspin in Forbidden Valley. It was loved by many people. For those of you that didn't want to ride it, you could stand off-ride and it'd be another great thrill ride to add to the park. So yeah, that's what I would do for Forbidden Valley. Now, of course, let's make our way down into X Sector. We've now got a space where 2 flat rides were before, and they've now both gone. Submission and Enterprise were there back in the day. Before that, you also had the Energizer that was down there. So yeah, there's been permanent flats there for many years. We've had the temporary rides come in. Enterprise left last year as well. So now you've got 2 big coasters and that's all. At least in Forbidden Valley, you've got the Blade and Nemesis Subterra to kind of spread the crowds. In X Sector, you've just got 2 big standout coasters, 2 big rides, and really there's no supporting attraction. So I would bring in 2 flat rides. The first one I'd bring in down there would be a Huss Breakdance 5. So this is from Huss again, the same manufacturer that I bring in for Forbidden Valley. And yes, this would feature 20 gondolas, 40 riders total. And the thing is with these rides, they can create an unpredictable 360-degree spin, controlled stage movements, and free ride patterns as well. The great fun. And also, with these, you can actually have the operator's cabin in the middle now on the Breakdance 5, which is very cool. In terms of space, I think this would fit where Enterprise used to be. 16.5 diameter footprint for this. And also, what I would do to make this even more kind of enjoyable, and also the fact that Alton Towers in the future are thinking about opening more 365, I would put this mostly in a building, but with an open front. So you can see the ride, but it's fully covered over. It's also better for our climate in the UK and better for the staff that would be working on there. And yeah, what I would do with this is kind of refresh the storyline for X Sector and build out on the Ministry of Joy, of course, behind the Smiler, and kind of have this like a Ministry of Joy attraction. You can have a lot of lighting, a great soundtrack. And that's the thing with these flats. The technology's come a long way now. You can really think more about the soundtrack, having it all in sync with the ride. But I feel like a Huss Breakdance 5 would be amazing. Imagine it kind of half covered over and kind of futuristic looking, a bit like this concept here from Huss. But I just think that'd be great down there in X Sector. Now, what I'd also do down there is I would bring in another flat ride on the former location of where Submission used to be. This would be another thrill flat ride. I'd class the Breakdance 5 as more of a family flat. However, what I'd put in where Submission was would definitely be a thrill ride, and this would be an Intamin suspended twin hammer. Now with this, you've got 2 gondolas, 16 riders on each, meaning a total of 32 riders. And yeah, you rock back and forth to approximately 150 degrees before going fully over 360 degrees inverting, which would be great. Bit of a nod back to the former Submission that used to be in that location. A little bit taller with this than Submission. This is actually be about 65 foot tall, about 10 foot taller than Submission. However, I do feel like they get planning permission to actually build that down there based on the tree line, the height of Oblivion, and also the Smiler nearby. But yeah, I'd expand on the kind of story of the Lord of Darkness from the Oblivion storyline. So if you think you've got Oblivion and then a Lord of Darkness flat ride, the Smiler, and then a Ministry of Joy flat ride, and it would kind of refresh the whole of X Sector. But yeah, with this, I think it'd be a great addition. I rode one of these before. I mean, I've done all these rides before, apart from the Breakdance 5, because obviously that's a newer model, but done many breakdances over the years. However, yeah, I really feel like the Intamin suspended twin hammer would look great down there at the bottom with like a black and grey colour scheme to match with Oblivion. The fourth and final ride that I bring in would be to Dark Forest. Again, we've got a similar situation to X Sector. We've got 2 big signature rides, 2 big coasters with 13 and Rita, and there's no supporting ride at all. So yeah, I would bring in a ride on the former area where the Wave Swinger used to be down there. When it was Ugland, you had the Ug Swinger down there, which later became Twirling Toadstool and went to Cloud Cuckoo Land. But on that spot there, I would bring in a Huss Magic. Now, I think a Huss Magic would be great on there. And with this one, on, I'd have it indoors, very similar to what you can see here from this concept image, which looks suspiciously like what I would do. I was looking for a ride type, and then I saw this overlay and thought, that is literally how I would theme it to fit in with Dark Forest. 12 gondolas, 48 riders total. It spins, it lifts, it rotates. Along with that, you've got all the cycloid kind of patterns, circular, triangular paths, and again, it's got a 20-meter diameter, so it would fit perfect on that site there. But with this, I'd have it indoors, I'd have a small pre-show attached to it and make it a full experience, expanding on the story of Dark Forest, bring in a new character. You've got the Wraiths that are kind of featured with 13, bring in a new character, have a very in-depth storyline, and kind of a pre-show, a bit like Wicker Man style, you know, but bringing you into this kind of crypt, a second crypt located in Dark Forest, obviously the first one being on 13, and just really expand on that story. How good does this concept look? But imagine it inside, all the candlesticks, all the mirrors on the wall, all the portraits. This could look amazing. You've even got the fire there roaring in the middle. Something like that would be great. And yeah, again, that's built by Huss. So yeah, also for a park, from a maintenance point of view, it does work out better when they actually go to one manufacturer and buy multiple rides. That's why I've been realistic with this and thought 3 rides from Huss. There could be a 4th ride you could put in from Huss. Instead of the Intamin. But if you're going for the best options for the park, I think these would work great. This would also be a nice family ride. So then you've got 2 thrilling flats, 2 more family orientated flats to fit in to the overall themed areas at Alton Towers. Will any of this happen? Who knows? There's been rumblings this week about a Ripsaw revival, so I would love to see that. However, of course, they are just rumours. As far as we're aware from our internal sources, there's been no kind of official decision made yet behind the scenes on what they're going for. However, they are actively looking at new flat rides, and yeah, hopefully we're going to see something fresh coming in. But yeah, in terms of Forbidden Valley, really out of all them areas, it's the one that doesn't need the flat ride as much, because you have got Subterra and also Blade and Nemesis reopening and Galactica. But the other 2 areas, it's just 2 coasters and they really need that flat ride. But in general, we need 4 new flats, and that isn't even taking into account the world of David Walliams that also could do with a replacement for Flavio's, and just in general a refresh. However, I do feel like that area's probably not got that long in it myself, so I haven't included that in this, because I feel like a bigger redevelopment could happen up there in the former Cloud Cuckoo Land, or as it is now, the world of David Walliams. Let me know your thoughts. Would you pick these? Would you swap a couple of them out for different ones? I'd love to know, so drop your comments down below on this video. But thanks for watching us here at Theme Park Worldwide, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you in the next video.